Hey everyone, welcome back to Bear It All the podcast with your girl, Jay.
Day, aka Dejana or Day, whatever you call it.
Okay, she's toned down today, okay?
I have to. We have a different kind of...
And we have a special guest with
Yes,
us,
I have to
a
tone
very
down.
good friend of mine. I'll just let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
How you doing? I'm Nam Nelson, Executive Director of Rising Leaders, and also the Camden City School Board President.
Okay, those are some big shoes to fill. So I'll just talk a little bit about like how we met and, just kind of like the background. So Nam is the Executive Director of Rising Leaders Global Nonprofit Organization, started in 2008, right? And so back then it was the organization started to build this, the city up, right? You're from the city of Camden.
Correct.
Build the community up to kind of help these kids like stay off the street, give them something productive to do. And a lot of it was like footwork. And then years later, I know I got started in 2015 where I saw you guys helping, giving clothes out to people, homeless, feeding them. And I'm like, I want to be a part of something. I want to have my kids out there, helping out the community. And so it just became, I fell in love with just the mission behind the organization. So I definitely kudos to you. I appreciate the work that you've put in. And I
Thank
know
you.
that, a lot of stuff was volunteer, right? Initially. And then now, there's a lot of, organizations that you've partnered with, grants. And, so talk a little bit about, I guess, pretty much kind of how you started. Why did you start your organization?
Sure. So thank you. Thank you for having me on today. So as you mentioned, officially we started in 2008 as a 501c3, Rising Leaders. We originally started the work probably back in 2000. I started working in the social services field as a child care counselor for the YMCA. And this was back in 96.
Okay, so how old were you then?
I was actually 16.
Okay.
So I was 16, thought it was just a job, stayed there throughout high school, went to college, came back during the summers. In 2002, I became the child care director of the Camden City YMCA.
At 16.
So
No, after
actually,
college.
I'm sorry.
Like 22.
I'm sorry.
Correct. So,
Okay,
yeah.
Like
got it.
22,
So-
21,
So you're
22.
probably
so
like, yeah.
It was 22. So from 2002 to 2003, I was the child care director of the YMCA. In 2003, I went on to a residential facility. And what I realized working for nonprofits, one, we wasn't dealing with bad kids. We was dealing with kids that was misguided, kids that was dealing with trauma, and kids that didn't have enough positive role models.
Right.
And actually, the boys stood out to us. So it wasn't just myself. It was myself and a few other friends of mine that, were like-minded and wanted to do something to make a difference in our community and give back to our boys. So, we didn't know what we were doing. We just knew that we was working for nonprofits.
Yeah.
And we started doing the work, feedings, cleanups. We would knock on doors. We would let community know we were coming. We would clean up parks and streets.
And this is all like just from your own dollars.
Yeah,
right?
so this was out of pocket. We did some fundraising. We gave our own funds. And again, it was just, being a positive impact in our community. And like I said, it was myself and about 4 other men. So we just started with boys before we evolved and moved on to dealing with girls as well.
So I have a question. So this is
Sure.
like the program that back in the day, they used to say like brotherhood, like be a big brother or big sister, something like that.
So similar, but you actually had your big brother, big sister program. So it wasn't that, but it is like, a mentoring program. So, similar to that. But, one thing that was unique about us, we had people from all different walks of lives, so whether that was somebody who had a college degree, somebody who just had a high school diploma, someone who, was once incarcerated, someone who, whose parents passed away. So having a group of people that was from the city, that was interested in giving back, that had, their own different experiences, you always could find a kid that could relate to one of us. So to answer your question, similar to big brothers and big sisters, but, we was rising leaders.
And I was going to say, I think that's pretty to me, and that's what I think kind of caught my attention, is the fact is there's these, something that I felt like you just didn't see. Like you have these group of Black men, right, who already have a lot of pressure and adversities, who are actually out there, trying to build up the community to in a place that was labeled once, I don't know if they still are, but once the most dangerous city in America.
Yes.
Correct. So it once was, and I don't believe we are now.
Okay.
But
So have
we
you ever
definitely
like
had that label.
internalized that? Like
So
those statistics? Like
as I was growing up, I didn't. I think the first time that I realized the difference between Camden in comparison to other places was when I went to college. So I went to college in '98, and when I went to school, I initially started off playing football. And I remember one time we had took somebody to the hospital. Someone got sick, and I was in a waiting room and talking to a Caucasian male, and told him where I was at, what school I was at, and the conversation was great until he asked where I was from, and I said Camden, and he just stopped talking. It was the end of our
Really?
conversation. So it was like,
Stereotyping then.
what was that? And then when I went away to school, the last murder, killing was 5 years prior to me getting there. Whereas the last murder in Camden at the time was probably, the day
the
before.
day before. Wow.
So, at that time that I went away is when I realized there was something different out there. What I seen where I went to college in comparison to where I grew up was different.
Right.
And it looked different. So that was the beginning of me realizing that, what we looked at as being normal wasn't really the norm.
Yeah, and it's hard to actually kind of realize, like, I guess differentiate when you grow up, when you grow in it. So let me ask you this: were you somebody like out in the streets? Because this is what people think. Like, okay, Camden City, dangerous, there's shootings, there's drugs. Nobody wants to live there. But I know, like back in the day, Camden was predominantly a white area. A lot of older white people still live there, and that kind of shifted at some point. But just like, were you ever like out in the streets? Were you that kid?
So I'll say this, I'm not perfect. I have my faults, but I wasn't in the streets. I had great parents, both a mother and a father. My mom was a teacher for 30 plus years before she retired. My pop was a business person, entrepreneur. He owned a ladies' clothing store. So they was great role models. And in turn, they held me accountable, and it was just certain things we couldn't do. So I wasn't in the streets, but I seen the streets. I knew the streets, family, friends, and I'm a leader. I'm a person that's person can't manipulate me. I'm not a follower. So I learned from other people. So things that weren't right, I learned. Things that I seen that I felt like was right, and then my own experiences, and learning from my own experiences, right from wrong. So
You think that's normal? Like for you to like being so level-headed, and having a 2-parent household, because I know I didn't even have a 2-parent household and I lived in the suburbs.
yeah, so it's not a normal thing, unfortunately. I'm also not normal, which doesn't make me better than the next, but I'm not your normal person.
In what way?
Yeah,
So
I was just gonna ask you, what do you mean by that? You're not normal.
So I think one class in my master's program that stood out, and probably the only class that I recall, was leadership, right? And in the leadership class, they said everybody was a leader, but a 1 would never be a 10, a 2 would never be a 7, but a 1 could be a 3, a 7 could be a 9, right? So I'm a natural born leader. And with that being said, again, it doesn't make you better than the next, but I believe the world is made up of followers, right?
Yes.
And there's a small percentage, a very small percentage, that's just natural born leaders. So, that's who I am. I tell people all the time, whether it's staff, whether it's my partners, there's not a job description out there for me that's written. And again, I'm not just talking about work. I'm just talking about life in general, right? It's not a job description. So, we got to figure out what our path is, what our responsibilities are, what it is that we're supposed to do. And that's been my life. So as times you don't understand it as you're going on, but when you look back, you can see why you went through the things that you went through.
So funny is that you said, if you're a follower or a leader. This past week, on this Tuesday, I went first class dance class for salsa.
Okay.
Salsa class in the atrium. And the lady, I didn't know nothing about, I know how to dance, but not professionally. So she asked me, what are you, a leader or follower? I'm like, I'm a leader. And they laughed at me, oh, so you're going to lead the dance? I'm like, no, I'm here. But it's funny because mentally already, I'm always being a leader. So when you tell me, what are you, a leader or follower? I'm like, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm a leader. It's just like, so you're going to lead the dance. I'm like, wait.
But you didn't know it. So
no, I didn't know. But it just triggered me like, what is she talking about?
But every leader is a follower of something.
Yes, but then I follow. And then it's like, oh, I understand. To become a leader, sometimes you have to be a follower and then be better at leadership because you're following and take a piece from this one, a piece from that one, a piece from that one. So when you combine everything, then that's what makes you a better leader.
Correct. I mean, to both of you's points, a great leader is a great follower, right? We just know who and what to follow.
Exactly.
A great leader doesn't mean you're always doing the right things, right? Hitler may not have done the best things, but, was a great leader in his lane.
Somebody in the ditch.
But, just because we leaders.
Let's not go there because when we talk about politics and stuff, then we're gonna go somewhere else. So let's keep it. Let's just keep it clean.
Just because we leaders don't mean that we not followers. But yeah,
you know what I was gonna say.
She's just shot. I just can't.
No.
You have to excuse her because she, like she said, she told you she's a wild one. So.
I am not wild.
That's okay.
So my thing is,
I gotta ground her.
I'm very outspoken, and she calls me wild. No, I'm just outspoken, and I say what's on my mind.
Yeah, I think the beauty is, a person that's okay with being themselves. So whatever that is, whatever that looks like, be you.
And that's trust me, I am me.
That's great.
So I think I'm I'm a leader with
more conservative.
But I'm just saying I'm a leader, like my personality is a leader. And I think a lot of it has to do with like me not wanting to wait for anybody to do something. That's like my personality. I don't like to wait. So I feel like, you know what, instead of me waiting on somebody else, and people, people just don't do things the way you would do them.
That's
right?
correct.
Other times when you want to duplicate yourself,
that's
you
correct.
wish you could.
Yeah, I mean, that's often. I mean,
Yeah, because it's like sometimes people don't get it. And so my next question would be, over the course of the time that you putting in this work and building up the organization, have you seen like a lot of roadblocks? Have people just not got it? Like, what does that look like?
That's a regular thing. That was the start of this journey. And I won't mention any names so that I don't leave anybody out. But the start of this journey was myself and another partner of mine's knocking on doors, trying to figure out this nonprofit world.
Yeah.
We went to Trenton and applied for our 501c3 without having any direction. We didn't know, so I apologize. We went to Trenton to get our nonprofit status. Okay. Didn't know about the 501c3. Right, so your nonprofit and your 501c3 is two separate things.
Okay.
So
a lot of people probably don't know that.
We thought we had the nonprofit, we do that, we good, but we didn't understand that we also needed the 501c3. With that being said, because this was a lane that was unfamiliar, we looked for people that looked like us, Black and brown people to give guidance and give direction. And it was the hardest thing ever.
I was just going to ask you, did they take you seriously when you started this?
So, I wouldn't say I wasn't taken seriously. We didn't even get the opportunity. So as we knocking on doors and, political leaders and, people that's overseeing grants and, just doing the research to, identify, where we can get this guidance from, we wasn't getting calls back. We couldn't get meetings. People didn't want to talk to us. And when we finally had a conversation and we went to a place that at the time was a well-known place, The person that oversees this place or the place was named after had passed away or moved on. But the two gentlemen that was in charge told myself and my partner that we couldn't be anybody because they never heard of rising leaders before. He went on to share how they had their degrees, their BA degrees from Rutgers, and pretty much talked down to us as if we had just walked in off the streets. And
Which
at the
is insane
time,
to me.
No, I was
know-
gonna say that would make me start a fire under me. I'm like, oh, you sure I can't do this? I'm gonna show you now.
So to your point, so two things. First, they never even gave us an opportunity to show our resume, right? At the time, I had already had my master's degree from Rutgers while you telling me about you having your bachelor's degree.
Right.
But I never pulled the resume out. To your point, it was a motivational opportunity. But for the average, it would have been discouraging.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize at the time why it was so difficult. But what happened was it caused me to have appreciation for the journey. In turn is what caused me to, at this present time, want to give back to those people that were like me, that were in a position like myself.
Right.
Because I never want myself, somebody that looks like me, somebody that's trying to help others, to have to work so hard to serve.
Yeah, it is discouraging. And it's like, the thing is, when I feel like a lot of times the walls get put up when people are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to help people, but then there's people who aren't doing the right thing, but because they're connected with a certain person, then they get either the accolades or the help. And it's honestly unfortunate
But
because
that's
it
in
takes away
everything.
from what you're trying to do.
Now, all day. And again, we spoke about early on, but, even to today is challenging. I mean, again, we talked about the people that, look like us, to help us. But, even the people that we're helping, it's challenging to help your own people. And I'll just rewind because I always feel like it's important. I had to go to somebody who didn't look like me, somebody who was actually the executive director at the time of the job that I was working at to get direction and guidance. And this was back in 2010. And he became a mentor in this lane, but he wasn't threatened by me. And I think that's the biggest thing. Everything comes from somewhere. So because we're hurt individuals,
Yes.
because we're dealing with envy, trust issues, we keep our guard up and we hold on to things rather than sharing. But I was able to deal with a person that wasn't threatened by me, that was okay with sharing. A person once told me that, it's not knowledge until you're willing to share it. If you're not willing to share it, it's just information. So this individual was willing to share. So he was a knowledgeable person to me, and there was a lot of things that I learned from, and I took. And, these are things today that I share. Even though it's a lot for me to still learn, I've learned a lot through this journey.
Yeah. So how hard is it for you to continue to maintain the mission, right? To continue to help, but then also managing like the stress, the everyday, pile on with just funding and, trying to get different avenues and different people to really buy into you. It's like you have to sell yourself, So how hard is it to pour into?
I think you asked a complex question. I mean, there's a lot in that. So first, it's challenging, right? It's real challenging to do the work where you're serving others, right? And I say work, but this is really our life service. So this is our responsibility. This is our obligation. When you show up every day, it doesn't feel like a job. With that being said, it can be very stressful. And an individual like myself, and again, I stress that doesn't mean I'm better just because we different, but we handle stress differently. And sometimes we don't realize that we're dealing with stress, right? Because we keep going, we keep going, and it's not in our vocabulary to quit.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to quit.
And what's your sign?
I'm an Aries.
Oh yeah.
What's your birthday?
March.
They don't quit.
March 24th.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're like in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Fire.
with that being said, it looks different than the average. You know, we're not looking for help. We're not whining. We're not crying. We're just going to go get it done. But we do get to a point where we can feel burnout. And that's something that I'm working on now myself, right? So we may not have the time to go away and go on trips and vacation, but you have to identify some things that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So whether that's, you know, getting a massage every 2 weeks or something that you enjoy doing that gives you a little break, right?
Hitting the gym.
Hitting the gym. So one is not easy. It's challenging, but then also trying to balance, right? So we're doing all this work. We have families, you know, you're talking about your personal life, enjoying life. You don't have time to fit everything in.
Yeah.
So trying to identify that happy median is difficult. And then that list of priorities. And often on that list, we don't include ourselves. You know, we prioritize everything and we don't prioritize ourselves. And, you know, I speak to people often about this, but when I'm speaking to people, I'm reminding myself about it.
Yeah.
Because these are things that I personally have to do better at. Because how can we help other people if we're not good ourselves?
Yeah, no, and that we've had plenty of conversations just because like, and I feel like a lot of it goes back to like trying to multiply yourself because there's sometimes you just, nobody can do what you do or make the, you know, the connections that you make. So then it gets added on, and then it's like very little outlet, and you still have to keep the mission that, you know, okay, I'm serving and people are constantly coming to you for all the answers.
And I think to your point, what we learn is when we doing this work, God always gives us what we need, right? So, you know, even the people, and I think that's the beauty of where we're at right now as rising leaders, even as a community in Camden. For me, you know, God has given me some great partners, some partners that I've had over the years, and also new partners that, you know, have come to the table. Because you made a statement of, you know, cloning yourself, having to do everything yourself. So when he gives you people that can do things, we have to be in a position to be able to be okay with releasing some responsibilities. And correct, to your point, trust. But sometimes we also have to change the bar that we have because we hold the bar at a certain place, and then we want to expect others to be at that same space or do things the way we want it done. And, you know, we don't help ourselves and we don't help them because the expectations may not always be the same. And it don't mean that it's not good or the output isn't what it's supposed to be. It's just different than how you look at it.
But that's where you said with the guy that the mentorship is knowledge. When you share knowledge, then when you share whatever you're doing, it's knowledge.
That's correct.
So when you put yourself in that small block and you say, like, no, this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the way it's supposed to be. Maybe the way how I do it, it gives you the same outcome. But it's not the way how you do it. Yeah,
correct.
There's different ways. So that's why you have to have input of everybody saying something. It's like you mix a salad.
But yeah,
It's
so
just like a
everybody, I
salad.
feel like it's important, you know, and what you mentioned was that there's different backgrounds, you know, whether it's, you know, somebody had a rough life or a different type of, you know, skin color, and you had different lifestyle and things like that. But sometimes, and everybody offers something, like it's all in the melting pot, right? Everybody offers something. However, I totally understand what you mean by not everybody can do something the way you do it. It's like, say you, right? So you do you wax and you teach, right? Other people how to do it. So what if you're like, something happened and you can't work for a whole week, right? Yes, you would close your books, right? But say you didn't want to, and you're going to search like very high and low to find somebody that you know that you trust that is actually going to step in. And it's very hard because like you wonder, are they going to do the same thing? Are they going to put the magnifying glasses and do this? You know, are they going to do things the way you would do them?
So
And that's
honestly,
usually- that's how
I've
it is.
trained that way, but nobody they have their own way. So they will never
Right.
be. They can never be me, and I don't want them to
But
be me.
it's your clients, right? And so you
Yes.
look at things differently because they're your clients. You want to make sure that they're getting the same type of care
Of
and
services,
of
yes.
service as you would provide. So sometimes it gets lonely on the top when it's like
But
these
that's-
people aren't,
That's
you
being
know,
human, Jamie. Not all of us the same.
which is why he said he has to adjust the bar. Because the expectations, people sometimes are going to disappoint, and it's okay. Like I learned that long ago when.
But that's what I'm
I
saying.
would
That's being
expect-
human. You
Yeah,
can't
but-
expect everybody to be you, or like you said, cloning. You can't expect. There's nobody like you in this world. Maybe similar, but you can't expect the same person to do the same thing.
And it's not
like,
often you
I
get
mean,
somebody
like-
similar.
Do you have kids?
I don't. I just take care of a whole lot of people.
Okay. So in our
But-
case, I have 2.
Mhm.
She has 5.
Right.
We raise them the same way. You give them the same love, the same care. You show them. No, it's true. I have a girl and a boy, and she has 5 girls.
Mhm.
My girl acts differently to her 5 girls, but her 5 girls acts differently, and she raised the same way to themselves. So you can't expect, even in your small circle, for everybody to act the same. Because everybody sees life differently. It's just like when you go painting.
Yeah,
we
that's
go
true.
we go. They put a picture. We go what it called sip
Oh, the
and
sip and
paint.
paint. That's very true. But
So
the
give me a
problem
second.
is,
You put the picture there, and you tell me and you go 3 gonna go Joe. We have a drink and we painting.
that's
We
perspective.
we see the same picture, but different things. So it's the same picture in your eyes. Like, oh, that looks like my picture. You look at it like, no, it's not. But it's the same outcome.
Mhm.
So the same thing about life. You can't. I've learned that at my age that you cannot expect everybody to be like you. There's no way. If
That's why you can't have the expectations. I
can't.
mean, that's just how it is.
in life, but that's in general, not even about work. I'm talking about in life in general. You can't. Everybody's different in their own way. Doesn't matter, like you said, the color. It doesn't matter about the background. Is what the outcome is that they want to help and they want to help other people. And maybe the way how I think, you'd be like, oh, she kind of nuts, but she's getting it done.
Mhm.
And then you'd be like, you're kind of stern, but you're getting it done.
That's
and it's
right.
a mixture of both. That it's like, we still have the same outcome.
No, that's correct. I mean, I think we're saying the same thing, right? You know what I mean? We talking about expectations.
Yes.
We talking about, effective communication.
Yes.
So, we all saying the same thing. I agree with
You
both
ever
of you.
get tired? Like
I think I'm tired all the time, right? But I think being
You
tired.
need to hit the beach.
Uh-oh.
You need to hit the beach, boy. If you're tired, you need that salt
Not
water.
everybody likes to be.
Being tired and being
Well, go to the
bored.
pool, go do something. Go to the sauna, do something.
So, I'm not bored, but yeah, I definitely get tired because the work is endless, right? And also, I've learned that you got to take advantage of the timing,
Yeah.
right? So, people be like, "Hey, take a break, go on vacation, do this." I'm
It
not.
sounds amazing.
I'm not saying it's wrong. And to your point, what works for one may not work for the next, right? Different things, whether it be financial situations, whether it be you have so much, on your plate, whether you're trying to meet timing
You need
guidelines
time for yourself.
all day. And that's why I said, maybe it's a massage. Maybe I might not have time to do a vacation.
Not everybody can just go
but I
fly to
gotta-
St. Martin
I got
in 2
50
days.
minutes
Stop
to
throwing
go
my
get a
face.
massage.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm from the island, so she's always
Understood,
says that. So
understood.
I'm the person that I am the free spirit one,
Uh-huh.
the wild one, whatever they call it. It's called. It's like, listen.
And they just
Gonna
sometimes
get
just do what they got to do.
Right.
Where,
Exactly. You just gotta learn, let them fly, and figure it out. Because God forbid, if something happens to you and you can't do your work,
Mm-hmm.
let's be very dramatic. Let's say you pass, you die. Somebody's gonna come over and take it, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, he was a great boss," and somebody's gonna come over. So I have this mentality of saying, like, listen, if it gets done, it gets done. I'm not gonna. Before I was very like stern. This I'm like, no, I'm like, okay, if it gets done, it gets done. I'm still gonna be responsible. It's gonna get done,
Right.
but I'm not gonna be like the deadline. I'm like, you know what? If it goes over the deadline, okay, let's work out
that
something.
may work for some things, but it doesn't work for everything.
And here's the thing, right? I think that's a great way of looking at it, if that's what fits for you, right? And when this thing that I do every day, I don't consider it to be work.
Beautiful. See, he's like me.
So,
That's beautiful.
this thing I do is service, right? So the way I look at it is if I die today, I'll leave without any regrets, knowing that I accomplished everything that I was able to and I could during the time that I was able to. So when it's my time to vacation, have fun, I'll do that. But, I look at my life as timing, and I'm also investing in people. So I'm not trying to be the only one that knows what I know. I like to share it with the people around me. Again, Jamie spoke about, how we met. And, Jamie is someone that, I invested time in. I mean, she's invested in me as well. But, that's our partnership. The other people that work with, with our organization, Rising Leaders. So this way, when we do go and when we do move on, there's other people that, have similar thoughts or know the things that we knew or, can keep that mission moving on. But again, that's what works for me, what works for you, what works for Jamie. It all could look different. But I agree with you. It's important to take time for self.
Yeah.
Important.
So what are some of the things over the past several years that you've accomplished with the organization, and even things that you kind of, even individually, and maybe it could be something that you didn't think that you would, or you look back and like, wow, I got to this place?
So, it's been a lot. I know we had a conversation before about, did you ever think you would be where you are today when you started? And even though I didn't know exactly what today would bring, I always knew it would be something successful.
Yeah.
Always knew it would be something large. There's never been anything that, I started and it didn't happen. And, all credit goes to God because there's nothing that we do on our own. So to answer your question, for one, we talked about it earlier. When we started, everything was out of pocket. Doing fundraisers, fish fries, chicken fries, bowling events.
Remember them days.
Trying to get donations so that, we can help serve and mentor kids, because volunteering is an excellent thing. But the reality is you can't always volunteer, especially if you don't have the time and you don't have the money. So, we have to understand that in order to do some of the things that we love, sometimes we have to have the compensation that goes with it. So going from not getting any funding, not getting any financial support, not being able to get grants in the beginning, and just volunteering our services. I remember sitting in a meeting maybe about 5 years ago saying that, I'm not sure where it's going to come from, but I know we're going to be an organization that, gets a few million. And let me see, this is 2026. So in 2023, we got our first large grant. We got smaller grants kind of leading up, but our first large grant, and I'll just fast forward and say, in 3 years, we've seen a little under $2 million, which was a big accomplishment.
That's a huge accomplishment.
I also want to say with that was not just Rising Leaders. So it was also an opportunity for me to ensure, as well as my organization and our partners, that other grassroots organizations was able to get some funding. And this goes back to our conversation where we didn't have anybody that wanted to help us.
Right. So,
and I'm not saying there was nobody out there, but we didn't find them.
the people that should have been there.
So being able to help create opportunities for others that's serving, that's doing the work, that's volunteering like us, was a beautiful thing. So again, being able to have those couple million as an organization was a big accomplishment.
Yeah, that's definitely big.
Another big thing was
being from a small community like Camden.
Yep.
You look at it and
let me just say this, everything that I do, every conversation that I have, we give credit to where credit is due. And, I want to give credit to, our mayor in Camden City, Victor G. Carstarfin, for being someone that's not only our leader, but also a person that stands behind what he says and helps create opportunity for community. And, with him in his position, he has helped many grassroots organizations.
Yes, Mayor.
Yes. Also, Rising Leaders, an excellent group. Probably when we started, about 6. Now, maybe about 30 to 35 collectively, full-time, part-time staff, and then a host of volunteers. But our first, I don't know what, 15 years, it was just our group, which was about 6 to 8 individuals. So being in a place right now where we have partnering organizations, right? We have at least 6 regularly partnering organizations that's in our community, Camden City, that does work for mentoring, mental health, haircuts, just a combination of things, all working together.
Right.
So it was Rising Leaders in his individual lane, and before it was these other organizations in their individual lanes. And not to say they didn't do, or we didn't do events together, book bag giveaways, but now we're a collective. So now instead of just being Rising Leaders, when we do an event and having to do everything, we have a host of other organizations that work together. So for example, we did our 9th annual back to school giveaway, Christmas toy giveaway / skating event this past December.
Which is always major.
And the skating ring holds 600 people. We sold out the skating ring with people still outside. And the reason that it was so great outside of giving back was because it was about 30 organizations involved. And out of those 30, it was about 19 grassroots organizations, not just involved, but actively working, actively playing a role so that we can all do things together. So we talk about the grants, we talk about organizations coming together, individuals working together, bringing our resources together. And I guess another accomplishment, so I once said that, I would never be in politics, right? I don't have nothing to do with politics. And, but, one day I said a prayer looking for more resources, more opportunities. And 2 weeks later, I had a meeting with our former mayor, Mayor Moran. And right after that meeting, which I was just inquiring about how we could partner, things we could do together in our community. Right after that meeting, 2 weeks later, he reached out in reference to being on the school board. And it took me about 2 hours to think about it. And I said yes. I never thought about being on the school board. It was never an interest of mine, but I didn't realize how much I can bring to the table. And pretty much what it did was it put me in rooms that I wouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
So now this is my 7th year on the
Really?
school
It's been
board.
that long? Oh my gosh.
7 years. And what that has done is it has allowed me to connect with a lot of our political leaders, one being our mayor, a host of council, commissioners, committee people, and this is across the state, to be in a room, to advocate, to learn, to receive information, and to find ways to better support our community. So I'll stop there. Those are 3 big things for me that have been accomplished.
Yeah, and I think that's major. And I think it's also major to be able to see all of that, like be able to, kind of like put it into fruition. It starts with a talk. A lot of times people, when they start something, it's just a talk and then they never fully accomplish it. And I mean, I've been there too with certain things. Like I want to do it, I may start it, and then it's like, timing. So I think that's major. And one of the things that I do love about the organization is the fact that you give other people hope, other organizations, people who may have just wanted to be a voice and maybe mentor someone or trying to figure out a way to like scale their business. So now you have someone who gives out haircuts. Like that's major. Like you don't have to be everything. You, the organization all in one. The fact that you bring other people around. And I think a lot of times people don't understand when they're going for grants how important that is.
Correct.
Everybody doesn't do the same thing.
Right.
So.
Nah, and, again, this is just what I bring to the table. Like, this is my responsibility. Everybody has something that they bring.
Yeah.
So being able to bridge the gap, connect people. I think that's what my obligation is, and everybody brings an expertise that in turn helps us all. So the way that we progress and we move forward now is at a different pace than when you're doing it individually. And it's a beautiful thing, right? Like everybody understands that they're a leader. Everybody understands when they need to follow. It's not the bickering back and forth. But also, that's not something that comes overnight.
Right.
That's something that comes with time,
All
right?
the relationships and meetings and conversations
you talked about
and showing
trust
up.
earlier, right? You know, at one point in time, you know, I was looking to bring everybody together. The reality is everybody's not ready to come together. So finding the right individuals, you know, people that have things in common. And, you know, building relationships is so key.
That is.
Somebody may disagree, but, you know, I feel like with black and brown people, you can't just come to the table and say, hey, let's do business. Nah, you got to build relationships because back to my points earlier, we dealing with trust issues, insecurity, envy,
Level of trauma,
you know, so you can't just incorporate business and money and just think we're going to get the job done.
Right.
Nah, we got to feel comfortable and we have to know a little bit about the people that we dealing with in order for us to drop our guards, you know, take those barriers down. I mean, we different. We different people that have had different experiences. And I'm not saying that pertains to every individual, but with the majority, and I've seen it differently. So since I took a step back and focused on building relationships with individuals and then work on business, things look a lot different.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And what's the best way to market yourself, or, you know, like if your goal is to serve and you have a genuine heart for it, people see that in the connections that you make, you know, you showing up for people. And that's the one thing I can say about you personally, that you will go the extra step, extra mile to look out for someone, you know, to show up to something, to be supportive, as opposed to some people where they have other agendas. And so, this is why I'm very grateful to be a part of the organization, and, you know, I wouldn't trade it for
So let's say
anything.
somebody like me has no clue and I want to volunteer. How do I go about it?
Sure.
Hello.
I mean, there's a couple different ways. I mean, again, if you know somebody that's connected with the organization, but then you can also...
the toy drive. I told you I wanted to do it last year?
Yeah.
But I had some issues. So I even told like, Jamie, I think I should be volunteering, like giving out toys or something. I told her, last year I told her. So I think it's about time for me to do something.
Yeah, so you got the best connection. I mean, you partners with Jamie, so she can let you know everything. But if it's somebody who is not connected with a member of the organization, I mean, you can go to our Facebook page, Rising Leaders. We also have Rising Leaders Skate Club because we do skating every Saturday. You can go to our website, www.risingleaders.com. And then again, you know, our social media outlets, whether that's Instagram, you know, our individual. So we try to keep everybody in the loop of what's going on, and a calendar of events. And
we'll lock in all the information when we drop the episode.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think that we appreciate you being here. I think this can help somebody else who wants to get started and may look like you and don't feel like they have the help. So what's like lasting advice that you can give someone who wants to start a nonprofit organization?
Sure. Take the time to volunteer, participate, you know, with other nonprofits. You know, I think a lot of times we just think we have to have our own, and that's not always the case either. But then sometimes we think we have an understanding of something that we may not. So spend some time in that lane, spend some time in that nonprofit world, educate yourself before you get involved. I think one of the biggest things outside of the mission with a nonprofit is your board. Your board governs, you know, everything. So sometimes you may get a group of people that you think are great people, but they may not be the right fit for the board because you didn't understand what the expectations and responsibilities were for your board members. And your board is going to be real big in helping you to advance your organization. So again, I would just say spend time in that lane.
So volunteer,
volunteer with
research,
nonprofits.
get a board.
Research. Don't feel the need to rush into anything.
Okay.
And then relationships is everything. Just because you're doing good work does not mean that, you're going to get all the funding in the world. One of the things that was big for me and that I had to learn, I told you we went and got our nonprofit and later on got our 501c3. But you think that you're starting a nonprofit to get donations and get money. And in most cases, people want to see that you already have money in order to give you money. So if you're going for $100,000 grant, they want to see that you've already had $100,000. You know how to utilize that, in the right way
So you
before
have
they
to build
give
a
it to you.
connection with somebody
So
that believes in you.
it's crazy and it's difficult because it's like, well, if I already had the money, why am I asking for the money?
Right.
But it also comes with just learning and experience and remaining consistent to whatever it is that you're doing.
Okay,
Consistency
thank you.
is the key.
So, Rising Leaders on Instagram, Rising Leaders are on Facebook, and I'm gonna link the.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
LinkedIn?
we actually right now, in the process of doing a new website. So we can put the website in there, but the website has changed. So please, anybody interested in volunteering, running a program, getting feedback, just being involved, come join us. Come find some things out about us, and if it's not us, get involved wherever you're at. Stay involved. Like you definitely can make a difference.
Yeah, come join the team.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we learn today? What did we learn?
Don't look
I
at me.
always say what we learned.
So I think one we learned
we'll
that
let our guests.
Yes.
the question wasn't for me.
No, it's
Yes,
just
for
in
you.
general. What did we learn?
So we can have different opinions. There could be different outcomes, and still accomplish the same goals, and still be working to get to the same destination. Communication is important. Being open to listening and receiving. A leader does not mean you're not a follower. That the three of us in here are leaders, naturally born leaders.
Yes.
And that we all need a break.
Take a break. A leader
Always a
doesn't
break.
mean that you're always a follower. Support, okay? And
Love yourself, like I always say that.
oh, here she goes. Yes,
Well,
of course,
how-
we're supposed to love yourself.
Yes.
Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.